Right, so now that we've looked at a bit of a plan for how we're going to go about creating our website, we can get started on it. And the first thing we're actually going to do is copy and paste the HTML from a previous project and use that to create an HTML skeleton, because actually what happens is every time we're going to create the same basic structure, maybe with a few minor tweaks. And if we save that skeleton in a document, we can import that every time. We're going to have a look at how we can enter some of the basic content and link to our CSS and begin building the nav section. So I'm going to go to Windows Explorer now, and to the folder that has all of my websites in it, and I'm going to create a new folder. Remember, for every single website we make, we want to create a new folder. So I'm going to call this one 2016 Switzerland and video, and in that of course there's nothing yet, but if we go to brackets and I go to File, Open Folder, I'll navigate to that website, to that folder rather, and open it up. Click Select Folder, and now I can create my first document within that, which I'll save as always as index.html. Okay, now before I just copied into Notepad the content from the previous website we were working on, and what I've done is I've gone through and just deleted out all of the content. So I deleted out the title, I deleted out the link to the Google font selection that I had and replaced it with a comment there. I did leave in the reference to the external style sheet because we're almost definitely going to have the same concept in our new website. Then I have the body section, which has a header, which includes a navigation, unordered list, and then the list items which have anchor tags in them. So that's going to set up our navigation section as always. So just to recap of exactly how that works, you have the UL tags which create the list, the LI tags which create each item in the list, and each item in the list is made up of that whole line. And then within those LI tags you have the A tag for the anchor tag, and within this section of the A tag, that's the opening A tag, you have the href attribute which specifies the destination for the link. So if you click on the link that we're going to create, this part here, the href attribute, defines where it's going to go. And then we have our closing A tag there. So what we need to do on our website, of course, is to put some content in between those two tags. So whatever we put in between the opening and closing A tags is what we will have our link on and what we can click on. So if I just say home, for example, that will put in that text which can be clicked on and will take us to whatever we specify in this href section. Remember, of course, that means you can put, instead of text, you could put images in there, and you could create images that you can click on. Then going down, we have the end of our nav section, end of the header section, and I've put in these section tags that we're going to use consistently throughout. And then at the bottom, of course, we have footer, followed by our closing body tag and our closing HTML tag. So I've put this into a separate Notepad document that I can save to my H drive as an HTML skeleton, and I could use every time. So I'm just going to copy this now, go back to brackets and paste that in. And straight away we have the basis of a decent website. If we open up the live preview, we're not going to see a lot because we haven't put any content in it yet, but we could test that. Oh, we have the bullet points there but nothing else. We could test that it's working by adding in a title, and I'll call this one Switzerland, and you can see up the top there it's working perfectly. Now in my planning I said I was going to use the Railway font, so I'm going to go to fonts.google.com, and usually it's quite near the top, but you can search for the font you're after. So I'm going to go search for Railway, it comes up there, and I'm going to click the plus. I'm not going to change any of the customized details, we're just going to stick with the regular font for this one, which means of course the load time's nice and fast. So I can click on this link, or select that link rather, and paste it over the top of that comment I put in there. So that's imported the font. Then I'm going to just put in the text that I want to have in my links. So I'll zoom in there. By default I put in 4 links. You don't always have 4. In this case I'm going to have 3. So the first one I'm going to call summer. Next one will be, and I need to be really careful where I put it, I just about put it in that part there. That of course would mean that it would not be part of the link because it's after the closing A tag, so I have to make sure it's there. Winter, and then the last one I'm going to call visit. So that means I can delete out this last link that we have there. Okay, and just check our live preview. That's looking good. We've got our links in there. They're just normal links at this stage, and we'll do the styling for that in just a second. To do that, of course, we need to create a new file, and I will save this one as styles.css. Now, because we already had this reference in here, that should work automatically, but we need to be really careful. I do this quite a bit. I called this one style.css. The link is style.css, and the name of that file is styles.css. So you need to make sure they're exactly the same, of course, so I'll change that one to styles, and now they should work. Just to demonstrate that they're working and give you an idea of the kinds of things you can do with these style sheets that you write, I've actually copied the style sheet from the previous website that we were working on, and if I just paste that in there, you can see without doing anything else, we've already created quite a nice navigation section, because we've just pasted in those same rules, we've structured our HTML in exactly the same way, and so it's really easy to replicate that look and feel. We're not going to use that style sheet in this case though, because I want to practice building it from scratch, and we want to create a slightly different layout. So I'll just select everything there and delete it. So remember, the first thing we put into our style sheet in the previous website, and we're going to do it in all of the websites we use, is this asterisk symbol, which is the wildcard symbol, which means that our rules in that section are going to apply to every element on the page. And the first thing we're going to do is set the margin to 0, and the same for the padding. Now this is important because all of the different web browsers we use, they put in default padding and sometimes margin around the outside, and we need to get rid of that so that we make sure our website is looking consistent. Then we'll build back in the margin and padding that we want. We're going to add a couple more rules to our wildcard operator here. One of them is box sizing, and we're going to change that to border box. Remember, this has to do with the box model that we've looked at, and this will now allow us to include the padding and the border within the widths and heights that we specify. I'm also going to go back to Google Fonts here and select the font rule that we have for our railway font and paste that in, so everything by default will be that font. The final rule I'm going to put in here is a font size. I'm going to give it 24 pixels, and that's going to be my default font size for the website. And you can see it's updated here in the live preview automatically. That means that in the rest of our website we can apply font sizes as percentages, which are of course percentages relative to this initial default 24 pixels. That's really important when you're starting to design responsive websites, and by that I mean websites that change and adapt depending on the width of the screen or the browser window that you're looking at them through. We're not going to go into too much detail about responsive websites for now, but it's a good habit to get into some of these concepts, using some of these concepts right from the start. That's where I'm going to leave this video. We've set up quite a bit of our HTML already. We've used that template that we've created, and so we can build our websites really quickly and efficiently from now on. And we've also looked at how we can set up the default and really important CSS rules for our website once again.